Hi, good morning. So I'm going to talk about the sentiments side of things. Last week was the technical, so I'm going to alternate them week to week. If you need to know the high-level values, just refer back to the last week's video for when I talk about the weekly, that those levels won't change, so we can see there. But before I talk about the sentiment, just make sure that you know how to identify if you're in an uptrend or a downtrend. We want to use the 200-day moving average. See how we're sloping down on the hourly. So what you want to do, you want to use that as your bias. So if we go up to weekly, say, down, so you'd always sell the rips. See, you wouldn't buy the dips. Sell. Just make sure that you're on the right side of the trade. I see a lot of people counter trend trading and they're on the wrong side, and also the sentiment is obviously a sell for this as well. So that's something to bear in mind. But see the daily there, like I don't know why, but retail would have bought at that point. And it's crazy. Look what happened. No doubt the sentiment shifted there as well. Down we came. And I know people I've spoken to on direct message, they're actually long this pair. So good luck to them. Looks like a horrible trade. This is the flash crash low. So that should hold. But really what you want to do is just use that as your like a gauge. That's your guide. So I'm going to go to hour 4, see, sell the rallies, don't buy the dips. Just an example, really. So don't be on the wrong side of the trend. Know that what the trend is, and then that's your bias. Set that in your mind. So just bear that in mind. So we'll talk about the pound dollar. It's actually quite bearish, 80%. We've got some bearish development on the lines there. They're pointing up, up, up. So they all bought the dip, which is bearish. There's your pivot there. There's a downward projection of the pivot there for next month. We can target S3 perhaps at 12259, and oscillators are down. So I'm going to make this quite a quick video. I won't go on too long. There's not much point. There's no need. It's all here. Bearish 4-point continuation for the dollar yen. It's a buy here on the static, and it's a buy on the dynamic. Now the question is whether or not the others will follow the MyFX book line. See how they're very skewed compared to everyone else. So they might follow, or the MyFX book line might retrace. But it's a buy on the average, which has certainly been helped by the MyFX book. Pivots here, an upward projection next month. So that's the dollar yen. The euro dollar, let's go here. So it's very much of a sell, 74%. There's movement across time, which signals sell. Pivots here. Next month's pivot's a downward projection. We can target 110.58, 109.58, S2, S3. Depending that they remain that bullish, it will fall. Gold. So we've got a bearish butterfly. Is that butterfly? It is. It's a buy on the static. Looks like possibly a buy on the oscillators there, but we're in an untradeable band, which is this grey area. There's no clear bias. We want to do the opposite of the crowd. So if the crowd are uncertain, then we probably might want to avoid that one. We use a line to connect XAUUSD, so that line. So 1417 area. If we break below that, that might be quite important. Or above pivot with a bullish ratio. Euro yen, it's a sell on the static and it's a sell on the dynamic. See how they bought it. Oscillators are up, below pivot and a downward projection. So we can target 119.81 or 118.84. Support 2, support 3. The dollar Swiss, now this is bearish 5.0. So we go here, you can see how it developed. and there's that line we clearly crossed above. Zoom in again, oops. Oscillators are sideways. IFX book lines pointing down, so that makes it a buy. The others are pointing down also, so it could be a good buy. And this was our signal, I believe, on Thursday. So one to watch out for is actually a buy there, and it's a buy in the dynamic too. But we have a bearish 5.0, but we've broken that diagonal, so we can perhaps target higher. And I won't talk about where the stop loss clusters are, because they'll change by the time you see this, and they're constantly changing anyway. But if you need to know where they are, just let me know. Kiwi dollar, if we go up, well, we've got the sell on the static. There's a sell on the dynamic. See how they bought it? They really went long, so that makes it a sell. At that point, if you follow my mouse, look how it went down. I'm going to scroll up, and again, there's a little dip there, and the price fell again. So there's that. It's a bullish dragon, which we crossed above. So it could be fairly bullish above that, pending that this doesn't break. That invalidates the dragon. But we're below pivot. We just closed below 66.40. Oh look, we're just 1 pip below, less than 1 pip below the pivot. Okay, so next month's pivot projection is up. So that's going to be interesting. Australian dollar, the US dollar, it's a sell, 80%. It's a sell there. See how the lines are pointing up. Oscillators are sideways, the negative and sideways. So this bullish ABCD will break at 68.74. We are at 69.07. So not too far before that breaks, but we're looking for a break because that ratio is so high. 80% is crazy. You wouldn't, you would not be on the right side of that, definitely. The USDCAD, it's a buy on the static, and it's a buy on the dynamic. There are some sentiment providers that are sideways, but the MyFX book line has pointed down, so it makes it a buy. Pivots here, the monthly pivot, and we've got a downward projection next month too. Oscillators are looking quite heavy. This is maybe encouraging the retail to sell, and they're looking at the RSIs and their stochastics. It's saying overbought, but we know that it's probably going to be a buy because if we look at the ratios, we want to rely less on the technicals and more on the sentiment, because the retail will use the technicals, but they don't use the sentiment. So there's something to bear in mind. But that is below the monthly pivot, so that's our bias. Had it been above with that bullish ratio, it would be a clear buy. Pound yen, so we've got a bearish ABCD. Oscillators are down. That's pretty bearish at 78. Historically, they've been bullish, which makes it a sell. Add these guys just to see. Yeah, I mean, they're just buying dips all the time, which is going counter to what I said at the very beginning of the video, the pound yen. I'm not really sure why they're counter trend trading and why they do it. What they have to do is look at the 200-day moving average, A, B, C, D. But as I say, I'm going to make this a quick video. I won't do the Euro Aussie, but there was something that I saw on the S&P 500. Now, we look at the Ichimoku on the weekly. We go all the way back to 2008. Still going to let me do it? It is. Okay, so that was the last of the big down Kumos. See that shaded area? And ever since then, ever since the financial crisis, look at the size of these down Kumos. It's tiny, tiny, and we're going up to like current day, nearly tiny, tiny. So that's probably just not a coincidence. Look at the size of these up Kumos, how massive they are, and we've just begun a new one. here. Look at that. It's humongous. So I think we might be possibly starting a new huge up move on the S&P 500, but we might get a retrace and get some support off the Tenkinson, Keatonson, but it's a bullish ABCD. Now I looked at this ABCD, this BC line. If we copy and paste that line there, see that huge zigzag? If we get a retrace of that Keatonson, and we use that same value, that length, we'll target 3,600, which makes it up here. And we are bullish on the ABCD, so it's worth bearing in mind. And also, the retail are heavily selling this, so that will project it up as well. But yeah, just wrapping up a fairly short video. But remember what I was saying about the beginning about the downtrend and uptrend. Establish, what the bias is before you enter any trade. I've seen people say go long euro dollar. I'm like, why would you do that? It's crazy. There's no reason why you'd do that when we're below the monthly pivot with a bearish ratio, and we use the 200-day on our charts, and we know it's pointing down. Trend 200. See? Down. Sell. Had we have sold there, in fact, I might have done, but then I kept my profits. I took my profits too early, but that's something I'm working on. But we know it's bearish because of these confluences. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. But yeah, have a good Sunday, and also a good rest of the week. But let me know if you need an order book. I don't mind at all because it helps me out too. Hope this proves useful. Have a good day. All right, cheers.